What's going on, everyone? It's Mike, it's John back again, and this is your debrief show, your Sunday debrief show, where we talk about the game the day before. We talk about what is going on in the world of football, but most importantly, the world of VAR and the referees that manage the Premier League. I've got our co-host, our beautiful John, with us. How are you, John?
All good, mate. You?
I'm splendid, mate. I'm always better when we've got 3 points. It looks like Wolves are losing as well. Looks like we're staying up, mate, if I'm being honest. You know, there seems to be a bit more fight in this side. You were there yesterday. What was it like?
It was good, you know, and you've just hit the nail on the head, Michael, there's more fight, and we seem to be fighting for each other, which is a big difference to what we've been used to. The players know what they're doing, and, you know, they are putting a shift in, and that's all you can ask, Michael. And we said this when Dyche come in, as he quite rightly said as well. You know, he wants to see the players come off the pitch with sweat on their shirt. He's getting that. You know, he's getting that. And the run, no, can't even speak. The points that we've picked up under him, you know, it's probably more for the situation we were in when he come in. It's probably more than anyone really expected for the amount of points we've got. And it is that tight down there. Results, I wouldn't say they completely went for us yesterday, but they could have been worse, you know, and we are out that drop zone now. And if we can just carry on picking, I reckon another 4 wins, probably safe. If we can get them, I think if we can get them, and we're very, you know, we are capable. And I've seen something before. We had 6 shots on target yesterday. Now, I think I said to you on the phone the other day, Michael, because we struggle in the forward areas, the midfielders are going to have to step up. It happened yesterday after 35 seconds, you know. Yeah. Michael Keane also had a chance as well. I think Dwight McNeil, for me, was outstanding. Decore covered every blade of grass. I think Dwight McNeil also cleared one off the line yesterday. So that shows the fight that is in the team now. And I keep seeing on Twitter, and we've said it many times, Michael, if only Everton would have made the decision after the 2 Bournemouth games while we had the World Cup, you know, we probably could even be higher if he'd had longer to work with these players. So, yeah, it is looking good. The atmosphere was brilliant yesterday. It was good to have the siren back. Don't think anyone was expecting that. So it does lift everyone. And obviously, we've said before, when the players put a performance in, it lifts the crowds. The crowd bounce off the players. The players bounce off the crowd as well. So all in all, it was a good day yesterday.
And everyone bounces off you.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I was really impressed yesterday because I thought it would be very, very easy. You know, we got that point at Forest, a game that probably we should have won. We've got some tough fixtures coming up. It would have been very easy for Everton to roll over and get a draw yesterday. And actually, you know, yes, Brentford were the best team the second half. There's no getting around it. They had some good chances as well. As you said, you know, we had a couple off the line, etc. But we could have been 5-0 up at half-time. Like, genuinely, we scored a legitimate second goal, in my opinion, and it was disallowed. So Everton would have been 2-0 up at half-time. And really, probably at that point, they'll get the game's won.
Yeah, I mean, Brentford have got to chase the game then. And as you quite rightly say, they were probably the better team in the second half. But when you're on a run, Michael, as Brentford were up until yesterday, of unbeaten in 12 games, a team that's on that sort of run is always going to have, you know, a part of the game where they're the better team. And yesterday, second half, you know, they probably were, but that probably just shows how far Everton have come under Sean Dyche, as in, like, the fighting spirit, working together, playing together, the defence looking more solid, I think. So, you know, 3 months ago, it's probably a game we lose yesterday, or, you know, probably drop 2 points from it. So it does look better. And as I said before, Michael, I think it's down to the players knowing what they're doing now and just doing their own job. And that's what Sean Dyche said when he come in. The first thing he says to the defenders is, your first job is to defend.
Yeah.
The wide men, again, Dwight McNeil, I said to you yesterday on the phone, Michael, he's a different player. He's a different player, you know. Some of the crosses he's been putting into the box, you know, and he's chipped in with a couple of goals recently, and this is what we've got to do with the midfield. Onana had the shot yesterday. In my opinion, he should score.
Absolutely, yeah.
But but we need these midfielders to start chipping in with goals because, as I said before, we can't rely on Maupay. They certainly can't rely on Dominic Calvert-Lewin. So that's what's going to have to be done. And, we are picking up points here and there. As you say, a point against Forest. That was a game, Michael, against Forest. Any other day, we'd probably win that. Forest and Brentford. Forest away, who had a great home record. Brentford at home, who've, as I said, up until yesterday, were unbeaten in 12. 4 points, you take that. If you offer me that before them 2 games, you take that.
Well, I said this. I said in my last reaction, I said, if you think about the games that Everton have played, we've won 2 home games, Leeds and Arsenal, which were good results. Yes, the Villa game's a bit sore for me. Maybe we should have got a point, if not won a home game against Villa, but we didn't. So you tick that up. I didn't expect anything away at Arsenal, and I didn't expect anything away at Liverpool. So I was hoping for a point against Forest. We got it, and I was hoping that we'd get 3 points yesterday. We got it. Everything that I've sort of wanted, apart from that Villa result, we've got under Dyche. Like we've got. We're going up against the Chelsea side next weekend again. Difficult game, tough game, but Chelsea haven't been great lately. So all of a sudden, Everton fans, Everton players, the Everton, management structure, they've got confidence that they can drum these lads into going and getting a point. Look, I don't think we go and beat Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, but we can try and grind out a point. Take the lead early and win a corner and score a goal, and then just hold on to it. And if we end up drawing 1-1, so be it. It's a good result.
You take that, and I think at the Chelsea game next week, it's sort of got to have been a Forest performance, Michael. And again, we got a point there. So we take a point next week. We do take a point, and again, that'll be, 5 points out of 3 games against 3 tough opponents. But listen, let's not look too far ahead. That's next week. But I think that, as you quite rightly say, Michael, the confidence is there. Dyche is definitely getting his ideas across. And listening to his match interview yesterday after the game, he was very pleased, and I think we all were.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things I wanted to mention, obviously, about yesterday, and I alluded to it at the start of the show, is obviously VAR, Damari Gray. Now, you was in the stadium, so you probably wouldn't have seen the clips that we all saw on TV.
Yeah.
I couldn't go to the game, so I watched the game at home. I saw the TV commentators say they believed this was a goal. Everyone that I've seen on Twitter believed it was a goal. I even think Brentford fans thought it was a goal. It's just another situation where VAR has come to Goodison Park, or it's been against Everton, and they've gone, do you know what? We're not going to give them that decision. For me, it wasn't handball. It hits his here, which is deemed as not handball. It is below the arm line, below that line. Yeah, below that line. That is handball. Fair enough. To me, Damari Gray doesn't do that yesterday. I am convinced there is something bigger going on in the most expensive league in the world, the league that's got the most money in it, with all of these people buying into it from various countries, all because the Premier League is the best. You don't have VAR decisions as bad as this in any other league. You've got one today, no. Newcastle. Wolves should have had a penalty. It's blatantly obvious. Manchester United could have had a penalty yesterday. I think Leeds could have had a penalty. They're not even looking at these decisions properly anymore. There was an offside. Who was the offside for? It was Charlison. It was literally, you couldn't tell. You couldn't split the lines apart. But yet they're giving these decisions, and
these decisions that they're not just going against Everton. Yeah, I think we all believe, or us Everton fans believe, there is some sort of vendetta against Everton, and they want us out the league. Whether that's just us looking too deep into it, I don't know. But there does seem to be something against Everton. We get shit decisions off referees. VAR very rarely give us a decision. But the thing is, Michael, looking at the bigger picture about VAR was brought in to help referees and to make it more fair. And in my opinion, it's shit. What I don't like about VAR, Michael, and we've all done it, every football fan in the country's done it, you celebrate a goal, then it goes to VAR, then you celebrate again, or then celebrations are all of a sudden finished because, it's taken VAR, until they get it right, it's taken the joy out of the game for a lot of fans, for an awful lot of fans. When the ball, obviously it goes to the referee's watch if it's crossed the line or not, That is a split decision. That now, how can you have something that takes 3, 4, 5 minutes to look at when it's plainly obvious that that decision, everyone knows the decision, so why does it take them so long to do it? I actually don't think the officials know how to work it. I actually don't think that a lot of the officials who are running VAR, wherever they sit, I can't think what it's called now, don't think they know how to use it. So until the VAR, they've got it running right and they know how to use it, just stop using it and get it right. Get it right. Because as you've just quite rightly said, Michael, it's the biggest league in the world. It's one of the richest leagues in the world, if not the richest, the Premier League. And yet you've got VAR making shocking decisions. Some teams get a lot more decisions than others. We know that. But if you can't use VAR right, then just don't use it. Just don't use it.
But I think it's actually making the standard of refereeing worse because they're over relying on it as well. You know, you're seeing decisions on the pitch now that you sit there and you think it's a stonewall red card.
Yeah.
They're not giving it. They're giving it as a yellow so they can go and have a second look at it. They're all just bottle jobs. The referees in the league now are a disgrace. And I'll sit there and I have no issue with people making mistakes. Like everyone does it. You know, you make a mistake, I'll make a mistake. It happens. I get it. But every week we're seeing mistakes. Every single week we're seeing. Every week we're seeing. You know, I've seen Everton players this season have their ankles chopped, 2-footed tackles. I've seen handballs. Yet Everton haven't had a red card given to an opponent in 100 games of football. 100. The last time we watched the game, it was against West Brom and we won 5-2. It's a disgrace, John. Like, I cannot put into words how it destroys the love that I have of football, knowing that every game is probably going to be dictated to in some extent. You know, you see it week in, week out. The best ones now are these last man ones, you know, where he's a last man, you're in on goal, he takes him out. To me, you and any normal person, it's a red card, last man standing. I've started seeing them giving yellow cards away against Everton. I've seen.
But the thing is, before VAR was brought in, the rules were if you're the last man, you take the opponent down, you're off. And it worked well, that. You know, we all knew, shit, he's the last man, he's gone, he's off. And the red card come out. Now now as you've just said, he can be the last man. He can make the challenge, the tackle on the opposition's forwards or whoever it may be. Mm-hmm. He'll give him a red. Then he'll get told to go and look at the screen at the side of the pitch, and then he'll rescind that red and give a yellow.
Because he's running away from goal rather than towards goal.
Yeah. And if there was a player to the side of him, he could have got over. Yeah, he might if he's on a fucking plane.
Which you will be soon.
It does. It just takes the love away, you know, and it's not just Everton anymore. As you said, there's been a couple of decisions this weekend. But these VAR decisions, Michael, can be the difference between someone winning the league, someone getting in the Champions League spots, and someone actually staying up. Until it's run right and it's used right, stop using it. And just, it was brought in to help the referees. I think the referees have gone worse because they're relying on that too much now.
Yeah, they have.
You know, years ago, you had David Ellery, I think it was, who was a school teacher. Every Saturday, he'd referee a game. He had 2 jobs. Now, since the referees have been made professional, full-time, probably on about $5,000 a week or whatever they're on, they're rubbish. They're rubbish and they're getting paid more, and it's the only job they do. So, you know, and as I say, until they can get this bit, the decision-making right with VAR, just scrap it. Scrap it, make it work right, and then bring it back, and we'll see how it goes from there.
Yeah, agreed. Just to talk on a couple of other things, Ben Godfrey started at left back again yesterday. He had a much better game, I thought, than the other game against Forest, where Brennan Johnson just probably tore him a new one, if I'm being totally honest.
Yeah.
I thought he was much better yesterday, much more assured. it's his pace that gets him out of trouble, and you've seen the amount of times he carries the ball forward as well.
Yeah, but my take on Ben Godfrey yesterday was what I did notice. He was better defensively, and he was bringing the ball out. But I think since he's come back into the team the last couple of weeks, and he has been out a while, so it'll probably come. I think his passing's been awful.
Yeah,
his passing's been left a lot to be desired. But it'll come. He's probably rusty, but even if he does make little mistakes like that, Michael, I'd rather have him at left back than Mikalenko.
Yeah. I want to talk about two of our older players as well. Obviously, we mentioned them on the phone when we spoke yesterday. Seamus Coleman, who, let's be honest, me and you have criticised and also love, but we've criticised him. And I think every fan channel has, every person I know in a blue shirt has. Not for his will, not for his work rate, but just because he's not good enough. But over the last few weeks, he's rolled the years back. He's been fantastic. He's been fantastic.
What I noticed with Coleman yesterday, he didn't seem to get forward as much yesterday, because we all know what Brentford can be like up front with their movements and stuff, and they have got threats up front. One of them shouldn't be playing, but that's another matter. But I just thought defensively yesterday, Coleman, as you said, rolled back the years, Michael. Is he 37, 38, whatever he is now? And, he was as good as any of the defenders yesterday for me, Coleman.
Yeah, and another one who's
Michael Keane.
I don't even know what to say about Michael.
I thought Michael Keane had a good game. I thought he had a good game, but the thing is, I've seen a lot of people on Twitter having a pop at him, and I thought, you know what, have a pop at him when he's poor, which is understandable because he's not great. But yesterday, he had a chance for a set piece from us, which he just missed with his head. He was putting his head on the line. He won a lot more headers yesterday than what Conor Cody would in the defensive position. I thought Michael Keane had a good game yesterday.
So did I. If I'm being totally honest, he looked like he did 5 years ago. When we first signed him, and he was in and around the England team, and he looked really solid, and he looked like that yesterday. I'm not gonna jump ahead of anything with him because.
You said to me on the phone you give him a new contract.
Yeah, 5 years. But what I would say about Michael Keane is he has to be one of the biggest confidence players in our team. Because he'll be fantastic again next week. He'll be rock solid next week. He'll be absolutely brilliant until something happens and it knocks.
Until he makes that one mistake and he's gone.
Yeah, that's it. And it's a shame because, there's no doubt his quality in terms of, his stature, he's physically strong, his positioning is usually pretty good. But I've also seen him get rolled around and smashed sideways away at Fleetwood Town in the Carabao Cup. I've seen him get done time and time again by players that should be nowhere near a £35 million centre half. But he played well yesterday, and I'll give him all the credit in the world. He seems to have got back this Burnley relationship that he had with Tarkowski, which, a lot of people have mentioned about Conor Cody and, where he's going to fit in this side. For me, he was great for about 15 games, maybe even less. He's a good leader, clearly, but I don't think we need to go and spend £4.5 million on a centre half. Unless Mina does leave, whatever.
Yeah, I think Mina's going to go. I think Holgate's going to go. So for £4.5 million, it's not on in football terms these days. If he's happy to come in and fight for his place, obviously, if Michael Keane does stay, if he's happy to fight for his place, then fair enough for £4.5 million. But I think at the minute, Michael Keane is probably playing a lot better now than what Conor Cody has for a few weeks.
Yeah, the thing is, though, and the thing I would say is it could have happened to Yerry Mina. It could have been Yerry Mina that was brought into this. It was. I remember sitting there looking at the team sheet for the Arsenal game and seeing Michael Keane's name on the sheet, and I was like, "What are you doing?" I went to the Emirates. I was there with a friend, and I said to him, "What is he doing? Why is Dyche doing that?" And he brings in Michael Keane, and I sat there. I saw Neil Maupay playing up front as well, and everyone knows my thoughts on Neil Maupay, so there's no sugarcoating that. There isn't. I saw Michael Keane on that sheet and I thought, what are you doing? Like, I genuinely thought Dyche has come in and he's making this job harder because he's making poor tactical decisions. He's not starting Damari Gray. And then all of a sudden, he appears to have got it right with Michael Keane. And it could have been Yerry Mina, who, I'd probably argue he's still our best centre-half on his day. But,
I think he is. I just don't think Sean Dyche fancies Yerry Mina.
Yeah. And do you know what? If that is the case, then fair enough. One of the things that I remember with Dyche at Burnley is he had a very organic team. And by what I mean organic is, he had a group of players that all were designed and built into the relationships on the team, working alongside people. It doesn't surprise me that he's going with Michael Keane, who has an organic relationship with Tarkowski, someone he's known for a long time, someone that he's played with before. They probably still speak to each other over WhatsApp when they're at separate clubs, instead of Mina, because that relationship isn't organic. It would be forced, it would be made, it would have to be built. And right now, where Everton need relationships to be, I understand what you're doing. You understand what I'm doing. We're going to work together to achieve this. It doesn't surprise me he hasn't started Mina, but I do think it's a shame that Yerry Mina is going to leave Everton in the summer with playing a lot less games than he should have, because Yerry Mina, in my opinion, on his day, I truly believe he's one of the best centre-halves in the league.
Yeah, I think it's the injuries with Yerry Mina, and obviously he's been in and around the squad and on the bench for the last few weeks and hasn't got injured, but he hasn't got injured because he hasn't been playing. Who's to say Yerry Mina could play next week and last half an hour and break down again? He's a player you can't rely on, a bit like Dominic Calvert-Lewin. You can't rely on them, Michael. We need players in this team for the situation that we're in. We're still in. We are. Let's not say we're not in the relegation fight. We're well and truly in it. But you need players you can rely on. And as you said there, Michael, partnerships on the field also are built off the field as well.
Yeah.
And I think you're quite right. What you say there, probably still speak to each other since they both left Burnley and gone their separate ways or what have you. But I think the relationship that they have, you can see that they're very close off the pitch as well. And you can see how they used to play against Burnley. They've got a good understanding where each other's going to be, and they've got that understanding to play together. And I think that's why Sean Dyche has done what he's done, and it's working.
Yeah, absolutely. Couple more players I want to mention. You've mentioned McNeil, and I think we'll leave praise for that at the end because he has been brilliant. So we'll talk about him. 3 weeks ago now, I think it might have been against Arsenal or Leeds. Sean Dyche comes out and says that he's going to get Stephen Delfour to ring up Onana. I wish he hadn't, because Onana was a lot better before that phone call. I don't know what has happened. I don't know what he's been told, but I don't understand where Onana's gone. Look, and I mean that he's in the games are seeming to go past him again. He gets himself on the ball and he doesn't quite execute what he's trying to. He's always prepared to get the ball. He's always, you see him in the middle of the park. He always wants the ball. It's just what he does with it.
It's not doing with it.
What was your take on him yesterday?
Well, don't shoot me down, because I've seen a lot of people on social media saying they thought he had a good game, and a lot of people saying they thought he was poor. I'm with the poor side. I think he was very poor again yesterday. I think he's been poor for the last 2 or 3 weeks. Maybe he hasn't been poor when you sit and look at it. I think apart from the mistake Garner Guy done, I think it was against Arsenal, Garner Guy stepped up against Forest, and I thought he had another good game yesterday. Maybe this is why Onana's not standing out as much as what he was, because he hasn't got to do as much because Garner Guy stepped up. But I still do think he's being poor. He's being poor. If James Garner can get himself fit, match fit, it could be Onana or a Wobie who drops out the team, but I'd certainly bring James Garner back in. and maybe just take it. Maybe Onana needs a 2 or 3 week break, Michael. It could just be that. You know, he's come from a foreign country. He's played a lot of football since he's come to the Premier League. So maybe he just needs that 2 or 3 weeks just to be taken out the team when James Garner's fit and just see how it goes. If it doesn't work, he can come back in. Maybe it's a rest he needs.
You're forgetting though. I mean, you're talking about James Garner there, and I'm going to shoot you down completely. I'm going to try and say this with the straightest face possible, but you've got the sensational Tom Davies as well, who can come into this side.
I'd rather play with 10 men. I'd rather play with 10 men. I mean, he come on yesterday, and I think his first touch, he gave the ball away. And I just sit there and I think, how shit are you? You know, I mean, how has he lasted so long at Everton? And I seen something the other day saying about it looks like Tom Davies is going to be released. Where does he go? Because he's not a Premier League player. I don't even think he's a Championship player. And I know I'll get shot down again because I have been in the past with people saying, get off his back, he's a local lad. I couldn't give a shit if he was my next door neighbour. He's absolute dog. Right? So, in my opinion, Tom Davies should never be seen in an Everton shirt again. But we're not blessed with the biggest squad in the world. That's probably why. Do you know what I mean? But he gets brought on to do a job, and the job he gets brought on to do, he just doesn't. He just doesn't do. He does nothing.
It scares me actually, because it's kind of like every time he makes it, because you see the substitution he's going to make. He's always going to take off Damari Gray for Mulpay and Onana for Tom Davies, and I sit there and I think, please don't make that sub. Please don't make them subs. Like you know, Neil Mulpay yesterday, as soon as that substitution happened, we couldn't get the ball up the pitch, because at least I know Damari Gray was knackered. I know he was, but every time he gets the ball, he at least tries to run into a channel, and even if he loses it, he just keeps it 10 seconds longer than Neil Mulpay does. It's just it's terrible.
Yeah, he's another poor player. He's another poor player. The first 2 players that'll be out the door at the end of the season for me, I'll put them both in a taxi, and Neil Mulpay and Tom Davies, and say, go ahead, go and find yourselves another club. You're not good enough.
You can drive them.
I will drive them for free. No, you don't have to. I'll do it for free. I'll even stop at the services and buy their dinner. I'll even take them to Spain.
Marine. You don't have to stop at the services then.
People FC, I can walk them over and crawl their hands and cross the road. It's only round the corner. You know what I mean? Because Tom Davies probably needs a help crossing the road.
Oh, it's brilliant. Obviously, Everton are now 15th in the league. Wolves, I don't know.
Was 1-1.
Well, it was 2-1 before you come on, because Newcastle had got, I think it was Almiron that scored. Everton are well in this battle. They're right in the middle of the pack.
Yeah.
You know, anyone from 12th to 20th can go down, and it literally could be anyone. If you was a guessing man right now, and this is going to change because I could ask you this every week, and there'll be 3 different teams. Who's going down, John?
Southampton, Leeds, and any from West Ham.
I want a name.
Southampton, Bournemouth. I know they got a 3 points yesterday, but they won't do that every week, Bournemouth. So I think Leicester, Leeds or Leicester. I can't split between Leeds and Leicester. More of me thinks Leeds, Bournemouth, Southampton, I think.
Yeah. So my bottom 3 is Southampton, Bournemouth, and Leeds. I'm one of them fans. I know there's a lot of people that do not like Leeds. I understand that, and that's absolutely fine. I personally have nothing against Leeds. I've got a lot of content creator friends, like Connor, for example, and Joe, who I've done content with. They've always been great Leeds fans to me. You know, I've been in the home pubs, for example, because, you know, I went up there on my own and I met up with friends. I'm wearing an Everton shirt and they were nice as pie to me. So I haven't got a bad word to say about Leeds. But Javi Gracia doesn't seem to be... I expected them to win yesterday. I know Brighton have been playing well. but they haven't been playing as well as Brentford, I'd probably argue. Yet Everton managed to turn over Brentford and Leeds didn't turn over Brighton. And I think that's what's going to be the difference.
I think the managerial appointment, bringing him in, I think that was the wrong appointment as soon as he'd done it.
See, I actually thought it was a good appointment. I thought it was a good appointment, but I didn't. It's almost like this group of players at Leeds don't suit his style, and I don't know. I think anyone could go down. I mean, we're not out of it. I mean, the next 3 games, if we get dicked in the next 3 games, which is Chelsea, Tottenham, and Man United, if we get dicked, all of them, we may well be in the bottom 3 again. We may well be bottom. Because if the other teams keep picking up points and scoring goals, etc., we may well be. But the difference is with Everton, I feel like we've got a mentality, we've got a style of play,
there's a fight.
There is a bit of fight. The only fight I saw watching the very short highlights of Match of the Day yesterday, and watching a little bit of the highlights on Sky and whatever, is I saw a group of players at Leeds that, are decent technically. Some of them football players are very good. I mean, they've got some actually really good footballers. The fans clearly care massively. The noise at Ellen Road, you can't doubt that. But I just don't feel like they're playing the right way to stay up.
Yeah. I don't think they've got the players to stay up. And as you've just said there, they've got some decent players. But when you're in the situation Leeds are, decent football doesn't keep you up.
No.
You need fight. You need fight. And and I heard a few Leeds fans when Jesse Marsh got sacked on TalkSport, and they were saying about, Simon Jordan and Jim White were asking these Leeds fans, who do you want in? Quite a few of them said Sam Allardyce. Now, for the situation Leeds are in, and please don't shoot me down, any Leeds fans who watch this, but he's probably a better man for the job to get you out of the situation or to keep it up than what Garcia is, in my opinion. Sam Allardyce does what he says on the tin. It's as simple as that.
Let's make no bones about this, John. If it wasn't Sean Dyche that come in, for me, it was Sam Allardyce. It was one or the other. I'm not going to sit here, and overly hype this guy. This guy managed to take, in my opinion, a worse Everton team than we have now and finish 8th after being 17th or 16th or whatever we was. I cannot sit there and say, look, I'm not his biggest fan. I don't really like the way he talks. I think it was unfair what happened to him with England. I think, all of these things. I genuinely don't think he's an horrendous individual person. But I do think he would have probably kept Leeds in the Premier League. And I think, as of right now, I don't think Gracia keeps him in the league, if I'm being honest.
I don't think he's the right manager to keep a team in the league.
No.
Because of his style of play.
Yeah. Is there anything you want to talk about, John? Is there anything you deeply want to discuss before we talk about the most improved player under Sean Dyche?
Not really, no. No.
Your hairline backwards.
I thought Pickford done okay yesterday. I think there was one good save that he pulled off. A great save. But I think there is a bit of an understanding coming with the defence now and Jordan Pickford, and I think that's another thing that's being missing, that understanding. We do look more solid. Going forward, we do seem like as soon as the midfield gets the ball, we do want to get forward with it, which is another good thing. But I think, as I said on the last video, Michael, I think the reason why the midfielders are playing like that is because we've got nothing up front. But these midfielders, what I will add to what you've just said, these midfielders, we need more midfielders to chip in with goals because we can't rely on Maupay. We can't rely on Ellis Sims if he starts, and we certainly can't rely on Dominic Calvert-Lewin ever making an appearance.
No. Right, let's just talk about the last man that I want to talk about, and that is Dwight McNeil. This is a guy that is still, if I'm not mistaken, don't hold me to this, anyone, still 24 years old. He's still young. He's been around the Premier League. I think he's made over 170 appearances or something in the Premier League. He looked fantastic 3 years ago. He almost signed for Manchester, or at least they were interested in buying him. We were talking about him. I think he'd got 15 goals and assists and all sorts. Then he completely fell off a cliff the season that Burnley went down. I think it was no goals and 1 assist, and half of that was under Dyche. He comes in, Dyche brings him straight back into the side. And honestly, even in the Arsenal game, he worked his absolute socks off all game. And he's just improved and improved and improved. He's been, in my opinion, he's been the most improved player under Dyche.
Yeah, definitely. And what I like about him, Michael, he's also helping back as well. And he's closing the opposition down when their fullback's got the ball. And he's getting tight and he's putting some great balls into that box. It's just a shame we haven't got a centre forward to get on the end of them.
But he is back this weekend.
Apparently. We'll see. I won't hold my breath. But isn't it funny, though? You mentioned Sean Dyche, and we were talking about Tarkowski and Keane earlier, and now we're talking about Dwight McNeil. 3 players who actually played under Sean Dyche at Burnley. And, yeah, well, listen, we're not going to blow smoke up Michael Keane's arse too much because he's had 1.5 decent games, do you know what I mean? But Sean Dyche seems to be getting the best out of these players who he's worked with before. Do you know what I mean? Dwight McNeil looks like the player who, when we were linked with him a couple of years ago when he was at Burnley, looks like that sort of player where he'll pick the ball up, he'll run at the full-backs, he'll take it to the byline, he'll get it across. Everton could, some of the crosses he's been putting in, we could have easily scored more than 1-2 goals that we've been scoring in games. Easily.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? Is that out-and-out winger? He's that out-and-out winger. And that, who will get the ball in and he'll cause, problems in the opposition's defence. It's just a shame we haven't got an out-and-out centre-forward playing who can get on the end of them, because if Dominic Calvert-Lewin was fit, Michael, since Dwight McNeil's been playing like this, Dominic Calvert-Lewin could easily have 3, 4, 5 games in the last goals in the last 3, 4, 5 games. Do you know what I mean? Because the quality that he's putting into that box, any centre forward would thrive off that. So for me, most improved player under Sean Dyche, bar none. And he seems to be enjoying his football again. He was geeing the crowds up yesterday. As I said, he was putting tackles in. He was chasing down. And as I said, I think he cleared a Brentford chance off the line. That just shows that, he's working hard in his position, but also getting back to help the defence out. So for me, as you quite rightly say, most improved player.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's basic football. And he's got a bit of ability, as in, like, he can beat a person. He's got a little bit of skill and he's a good ball carrier. He's not the quickest, but he's clever. Like, there was moments yesterday where he was in the corner and he had 2 Brentford players on him. So he'd angled his body up so he would kick it off them and it would go for a throw-in or a corner. Yeah. And you see that all the time. Like, that's not new to football. He's
making things happen every time he has the ball.
Exactly. Like, there is a lot of times where you'd get it wrong and it would bounce off the fullback and it would stay in play and it would go back up the other end and he would be out of position. Every single time he did it yesterday, he won a throw-in or a corner and under no pressure whatsoever. I've been really, really impressed with him. He scored 3 goals. He's got 2 assists. He's chipping in now. He's performed better than Anthony Gordon did last season, and Anthony Gordon come out and said that he was fantastic. So, lick my hoop.
Anthony Gordon believes in his own hype. Oh shit! I'm not being funny, Mike. I mean, you were saying last season, I wouldn't be asked if we sold him. 40 million quid.
But my point is,
if he's worth 40 million quid, the way Dwight McNeil's playing now, what's he worth? 100 million.
Hundreds of millions of pounds. But my point is, we've replaced Gordon with somebody who, yes, isn't necessarily as young, but isn't much older, who actually is doing more. He's actually a better player, in my opinion. The only thing is we didn't replace Richarlison. I have a theory about this. I think Richarlison comes back in the summer. I'd actually go as far as saying I'm convinced he's coming back in the summer. I don't know anything. Nobody start clipping this up and sticking it on Twitter. Oh, Mike's in the know, all of that. No, I just think he's coming back. He's not happy at Spurs.
Not happy.
He loved Everton. And I actually think, there is money to spend at Everton now. There is, the Moise Kean money, the Anthony Gordon money. There's new investment around the corner. There was money from the summer anyway that we didn't spend. The wages that have been off the books, Rondon's wages off the books, all of the hundreds of millions of pounds in players like Sigurdsson, Digne, Mina, all of these wages are off the books. Everton, in my mind, can have a fantastic summer window that involves a couple of strikers, a couple of outgoings, new midfielder, maybe a new right back, maybe a left back, whatever. It doesn't matter. Just get me some players who can score goals. And I'm telling you now, people, Everton finish top 8 next season.
In the Championship or the Premier League?
In League One. we get done for corruption because Usmanov is part of Everton.
Oh yeah, we dropped down 3 leagues. My local derby is Bootle FC and Everton.
Yeah. What's going on, everyone? It's Mike, it's John back again. Watch along today. It's Everton against Marine, and it's live.
I'm a lot. I mean, I know before we finish the video, I knew you've been quite negative the last 2 or 3 weeks. You've been convinced we're gone.
Yeah, mega negative, yeah.
Gone. So you've asked all the questions. What I will ask you is, since the Forest result and performance, yesterday's result, obviously you're not 100% we're going to stay up, because I don't think any Everton fans are 100% we stay up.
I am. Ask me the question, really? John. I said before the Forest game, if Everton get 4 points, we're staying up. And we got 4 points. We get a point. We get a point next week at Chelsea. We get 3 points at home to Spurs. We get fuck all at Man United. I'm telling you now, we stay up, and we're going to finish on about 38 points next season. We're going to win the lot: the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup, the FA Vase, because we're in the chapter that works. I'm telling you, honestly, John, this team, the biggest issue this team...
You make me laugh. You make me laugh. 2 weeks ago, you were like, we're fucking down, fucking hate them, we're fucking gone. I'm not even coming anymore, blah, 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 right? Then, the last 2 results, you're like, oh, we're staying up. 5 minutes ago, you were saying, very tight in this Premier League. If Everton don't get nothing out the next three games, we could be rock bottom. Make your fucking mind up. You like the weather.
No, you're right. I did say that. But my point is, we could be rock bottom in 3 games' time. But the games at Newcastle at home, Tottenham at home, even some of the games away where we've got to go to teams, I think Everton will pick up points. I think Everton will win 3 or 4 games. I think they may win away from home. I think, our last 2 games this season are Brentford and Wolves, if I'm not mistaken. 6 points. Bournemouth. Yeah, Bournemouth and Wolves, sorry. There's 6 points there. That is 6 points. That it is. Worst case scenario, it's 4 points. Now, we're already on 25. If you simply, by mathematics, just add 3 wins to that before then, I'm telling you, John, we're staying up. I'm absolutely convinced of it. I'm positive about it. And I wasn't 2 or 3 weeks ago. I wasn't sure. I didn't think we had the firepower. And that's the biggest difference.
Still haven't got it.
No, we have. We scored 2 good goals yesterday. We look a threat from every single corner.
That's another thing we could add to this. Under previous managers, every time, week in, week out, we failing to beat the front man, the first post.
It's been a waste of time. Corners are a waste of time.
The front post, we weren't getting it past the man on the post. Everyone, and I said this on the last couple of videos, every corner now, or every dead ball situation or free kick we put in the box, looks dangerous.
John, it's the same setup every week. It's just no one can defend it. McNeil, all the way over, high floating ball, straight to Tarkowski or Michael Keane, nod it back into the centre, and the other person, Decore and Nana, the other big 6'5" players we've got, are putting their head on it. That's exactly what happened yesterday. Demarai Gray scores a perfectly good goal. It's disallowed for some stupid bullshit reason, but it is a perfectly good goal. The first goal is just real quality, winning the ball back in transition, lovely footwork, left foot strike from McNeil, smashing it into the bottom corner. Everton look like a different team when they play players like Demarai Gray, who stretch the back four, use their pace. And this is the thing I was asking for.
Yeah. I was going to say, I thought Gray had a good game.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. We're so much more better. I'm not saying we're the finished article because we haven't got that centre forward, but we are so much better at getting through the transition from defence to midfield to attack.
Yeah.
Than we
and this is what I said before about the midfielders. Every time we get the ball, they're on the front foot. We are turning defence into attack.
And that's the reason we're going to stay up. It's not me sitting here being fickle and, well, it is probably, but it's not. It's me sitting here saying our biggest weakness was we wasn't scoring enough goals. And I now no longer think that is our biggest weakness. I now think our biggest weakness is in the midfield. At times we can get overrun and we are allowing teams to create chances against us. And we've been good that the back four have been so good at dealing with it.
Yeah.
Sometimes our midfield's out. Decore's further up the pitch because we've been attacking. Anana hasn't been in the right position. Garner's made his own mistakes. That issue has been the midfield at times. Whereas when they're on the transition, they're going forward. We're creating chances. We're looking aggressive. This Everton team, and I'm telling you now, I will say it here right now. There's no way in hell this Everton team goes down. Not a chance. Because we're creating. Okay. We're creating so much more. I'm telling you now, next week we get a draw at Chelsea, 1-1 or 2-2. We're winning the fucking lot next season, John, I'm telling you. I'm doing this. I love it because there's one particular subscriber that keeps digging me out for being either too negative or too confident. I can't be in the middle. So I'm sitting here now for the thumbnail. We're winning the league next season.
The Women's League, the under-8s, the under-10s.
The under-12s, 16s, 18s, 21s, 23s, and the Premiership. No, I'm joking. John, I've got nothing else to add.
That's it.
Yeah, I've got nothing else to add. Apart from that, guys, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe. Make sure you get your comments in there about John's hairline because he's had a haircut. So make sure you get in there.
What's wrong with my hairline? It's the way I'm sitting.
That's what I'm telling you. Look at my hairline. I look like KSR. I have to wear a bandana. My hairline's going back so quickly. Look, I look KFC. Like my head's so massive. It looks like I've got like a ring around my head. Look. What is
you have got a big fod. You're related to Ant McParlin. There's or Declan, whoever got the big fod out of them too.
I wish I had his money. I look like Smithy.
Right, folks, we're leaving it there. My little girl's ready to go to bed.
Brilliant. I'm not saying nothing. Have a good night. See you
better
later.
Not. Cheers, folks.
We're
winning the lot. We're winning the lot.